Uh, yeah, I find, well, let's see. Oh, no. I mean, I can see you, so maybe it's okay now. Um,
Can you see the screen?
yes, yes.
Yes.
Right. Did it change just now?
Yeah, this looks okay.
Alright. So, welcome. There was quite a long pause, and I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, William, or maybe be more
Yeah,
passive.
sure. I'm a computer science major. I'm currently unemployed, looking for work, and since I'm trying to get experience in Python so I can work in Python, Blaze suggested me to hop on in these calls so I can maybe contribute to the project in the future.
Alright. So, welcome.
Thank you.
What I'm doing is, I don't know how much you you read up on this. So what I'm doing is trying to generate the grammar snippets from in the documentation from the actual Python grammar file.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's been a while, I should probably go through the this tool that I've wrote and explain what exactly it does.
Okay.
If you have any questions at all, feel free to just ask.
I Okay, I will. Thank you.
Right? It's
Um,
perfectly fine if we spend the whole thing just answering your questions. That's
okay,
basically what I'm here
header,
for.
Garrison.
So let me increase the font size a bit. Uh,
Mm,
s-
mm,
so where to start? So Python has documentation in the doc directory. There are
mm-hmm.
some chapters like the reference, where the simplest thing here is top level statements. When
Mm-hmm.
that's rendered, it looks like. Let's see. Top level components, that's this one, right?
Yeah.
So, this is how a top level file input looks in Python. That's new line statement star. I guess you're familiar with
Mm-hmm.
this kind
Oh
of
yeah.
grammar if you're a
Yeah.
computer science student.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and this is actually from my branch already, so this is based on the grammar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So is this sorry? Is this uh, automatic parsing off the grammar into documentation a new thing that you're working on?
yes.
Ah.
If you look at docs.python.org, this page looks like this. So there's new line statement.
Okay.
It's underlined because there's a new style sheet. But this thing is written by hand. So
Okay.
if I look at the raw source, uh, looks like this. There's a production list directive and their file input, blah blah blah. In this
Okay.
case, it's the same, but of course, these things tend to get out of date. Sometimes they don't match the actual grammar because they try to be clear and they're avoiding some details. Sometimes people just forget and uh,
I
we
see.
get a lie in the docs. Uh,
How exactly this? Oh, sorry, I think I'm interrupting you.
I don't know. Feel free to ask questions. So I can just tell you while I'm
So
getting to it.
how does your tool know which production rules to insert where?
Right. So this is the source in my branch. So I'd say it's a grammar snippet file, and this
Okay.
is the name of the rule. Right. So this is input to my
Ah,
tool, and everything after it is generated.
I see. I see. That's
Right. So
nice.
I tell it to describe file for me, and it goes to the grammar file, which is really complex because it has the C code for the all the
Oh, yeah, that
productions
makes
and
sense.
all of that stuff which you don't want in the docs.
Yes.
And this gets parsed by the actual parser tool, and I use the AST from that tool, simplify it a bit, and uh, and generate this.
Okay, cool. Cool. I'm following so far.
Oh, I think I haven't actually regenerated. Uh, have I? That might be actually this might actually be an old version. And Sphinx is taking its time. Ah, there we go. This is the actual thing. So this matches what's in the grammar.
Oh.
So it links
Oh,
to
okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
it links to
Wait,
statement which
okay.
is documented somewhere else, and that has the new line.
Question: why is it statement star new end marker and not statement end marker all starred?
Because the end marker is at the very end. That's the end of file.
Ah, okay, makes sense.
Right. So let's see how this looks in the grammar. It's right here. Right. So the grammar has statements, which
Mm-hmm.
is a rule that only appears here, and it expands to statement plus, right?
Yeah, I'm not following this new syntax here, to be honest. I
Okay,
don't know
so
what
this is
this
yeah,
grammar is.
the actual grammar syntax is a bit more complicated. So this is the rule name. This is the C type
Oh,
for the production rule.
okay,
So we're
okay.
ignoring this. This A equals is again used to name things for the C code. So we're
Oh,
ignoring that. And the
okay.
file expands to optional statements and marker, right? There's actually one more view we can use, which is the full grammar specification in the docs, which uses a bit of a hack. It uses a syntax highlighter to hide the things that are not interesting. Uh, right, so
Okay.
this hides the C code and the names of the variables and stuff. So file is optional statements and marker. Statements is a rule that only appears here, and it's statement plus, right?
Okay.
So what my tool does is it inlines this rule into here, and then notices that it's optional one or more, so it changes that into 0 or more.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
And then you, so you get statement star, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, so the tool takes all these pages as input and modifies them in place, which is generally not a good idea to have auto-generated
Yeah.
snippets in a file written by humans. But in this case, I want this to be part of the diff when things are reviewed.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
So,
Also,
uh,
I just thought of something. Sorry,
yes,
can you go back to the grammar with the C bits?
right.
So, how do you represent an optional in C?
In C,
Is it C++? plus plus?
no. So these are bits of C code.
Yeah, but like you said, A is an optional argument, right? So it
Right.
can have essentially like how do you represent that in C when A is a default?
To be honest, I don't know. It might be a null,
Yeah, yeah, it might be a null. Anyway, sorry, I
or
digress.
wait. So this is definitely some kind of list. It might be a Python list or something like that. Some kind of sequence. And
Are these Python objects in the C code? So are they part of the
yeah, some of them are.
interface? Ah, yeah.
Generally,
That case,
when something is a dynamically allocated or reference counted thing, that's should be a Python object.
I see.
But yeah, I haven't
Anyway,
really
sorry.
looked at the C parts here. So the other part I'm looking at is this tools PE or PEG gen. I don't know how to pronounce that. So
I
PEG
don't know.
is the name of or the style of grammar we use.
Mhm.
PEG grammar for Python. Gen is of course generator. So this is the actual grammar parser that Python uses.
Wait, Python runs on Python? I would have assumed it weren't
So this is the grammar generator. So it reads this file and
oh the
it'll write
right.
the C. It'll write the C code, C source for the parser.
Right.
So
Okay.
that generates. I don't know where the parser lives, but yeah,
Yeah.
the C code's generated. And yeah, so there's this grammar.py that defines all the rules as Python classes. And then there's a meta grammar for the grammar and stuff like that. So I can reuse that. I can just import the grammar and build a parser for my tool and get the AST that I need. So maybe it's time to go over the tool to remember what it actually does. This is the regular expression to look for the input. There's a to-do to handle indentation, but probably we don't need to do that ever. It'll always be at the start of the line. We put in the script name. That's always good practice when you generate something. And we have a little argument parser. That's not very interesting. Then there's a bunch of to-dos, which we either do or drop before the initial commit. Now the main function will parse the arguments.
That is a lot of indents.
Yeah, it's it's parsing.
It's fine. It's fine.
Readable code, So it'll get a bunch of files. Basically, it's called with all the restructured text sources that might contain the grammar bits. And it'll go through all of those, open each one, go through every line in those, look for the input lines, and for each match, it'll remember that this file contains the input. So later it can only update those files, and it'll get the list of rules from the input here. So this can actually be a space separated list of rules. So we note those and split that. And when we see a duplicate, we mark that as an error. And then we remember where we saw each rule, so we can, I guess, we can get better error messages. That's the only reason. So now we have a set of all the top level rules that we want to document. And top level here is maybe we should comment that, right? Do we define what top level means anywhere? No, we should Uh, so top level means basically that the docs explicitly ask for it.
Ah,
Right.
okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Well, let's define it like that. So what that means for us is basically that all everything that referenced this rule should link to it.
Yes, yeah, okay.
If something's not a top level rule, it will get well, we'll see that later somewhere. If it's not a top level rule, let's maybe look at some compound statements here. So this is currently a work in progress mess, but if the tool is asked to document function definitions, for example, and the function definitions have a decorators rule here, and this is not top level, that'll get documented down below like this automatically.
Okay, that's nice.
Right, we parse the grammar, use the existing functionality for that, take a copy of the grammar rules as a dict, and then we update all the files. So for each of the affected files, we open it and build a list of lines that should be in the file. So for that we walk the file line by line, usually make a list of the original lines as well. And some of the lines we ignore, that would be the original output here, whatever we're trying to overwrite. And there's a bit of state keeping, but basically when we find the header line, we generate the new lines that should be there. So this is like a comment generated by, and then we call a function to generate the rule lines for the given rules here.
So how do we represent the output file internally? Is it just a list of lines?
It's a list of lines, yes.
I see.
As a bit of a complication here, but then we go, if the original lines don't equal the new lines, then we update the file, otherwise we keep it unchanged.
Okay.
This is quite important because you don't want to override it every time and make the make tool think it's changed.
Right, so new lines is just a copy of the original lines that is then modified, or is it a shallow? No, it can't be a shallow copy.
So
yeah,
we basically put each line in the original lines unconditionally.
Sorry, I had to look away for a second, so I got a bit lost, but I'm following now.
No problem. Alright, so that's the main loop. And now come the node definitions. So the existing grammar tool has these classes for every token, every grammar token. So like name leaf would be, you know, a name in the grammar like
Else
say
something.
global statement, non-local statement, like a name of the rule.
Wait, there's a non-local statement now?
Yes. So this is a name of a grammar rule.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
And I saw you guys had already fixed the lambda capturing a local thing. That always annoys me.
Lambda capturing. Oh,
Like,
lambdas.
when you create lambdas in a loop that capture the same named variable, they all can't keep the same variable reference, so they
Right.
all have the same value at the end.
Yeah. So this is a statement, so not for lambdas.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just got ahead of myself.
Uh, so so there's a class for
Mm-hmm.
every rule in the metagrammar, and I decided to mirror this class hierarchy because I want to do something a bit different than the parser with
Okay.
all the rules.
Question real quick. I'm gonna have to leave real soon. Sorry, I'm next week. But why use yield from empty tuple instead of yield break? Is there any practical difference?
Uh,
I don't know where I saw it, but I did see a yield from empty tuple.
oh, yield from empty tuple.
I don't know where I saw it. I just know I saw it on screen briefly.
Wait,
What? Isn't it on a file maybe?
oh, it's
I
it's
swear.
in the
Yeah.
pre-existing. It's in here. So this instead of what? Instead of
Instead of yield break. Yield break.
yield
It's
break.
Yeah, yield break is the return. It's the return equivalent of our coroutines. Just return nothing.
Is this valid
Just immediately
syntax?
end execution. What? Sorry.
Is this valid syntax? What?
I'm fair. Am I mixing up languages again? Yield. Yeah, no, it is. It is Python. Yeah.
Ooh.
Hang on. Let me triple check. I might be thinking of C sharp actually. My bad. No, no, that's definitely C sharp. I'm just embarrassing myself today. I'm sorry. This is definitely C sharp because they have yield return, yield break.
Ah.
Yeah, no, sorry. I'm mixing up all my
Yeah. So
languages
so
today.
what you can actually do is return and yield.
Oh,
So the yield makes it a generator, and the return returns
oh,
before.
oh! I hate it. Thank you. I needed this
So
dialogue.
that's what I used before, but now it looks like
Yeah, no,
the
no. This is way
preferred
easier.
EDM
Yeah,
is this
I
one.
again, I'm wasting time here. I'm sorry.
No
I just
problem. No question is
Sadly,
valid here.
I'm gonna have to go because I have quite a busy schedule today. But I'll try to hop in tomorrow as well. So thank you
Next
so much for having.
next week actually.
Oh, next week. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I'll see
does
you then
does
sometime.
an hour earlier work for you?
Yeah, yeah. I actually thought it was an hour earlier, so I woke up a bit
Ah,
earlier too.
yeah.
But
Let's make it an hour earlier next week.
okay, yeah,
Right.
I
See
can
you
do that.
around.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. uh, yeah. I guess the Blaze, you're muted if you're saying something.
There we go. Sorry.
Now I can
That was
hear
very
you.
helpful. Thank you.
Hey, no
Thanks.
problem. Uh, so I also thought it's an hour earlier, but the Discord event said it's not. I don't think the Discord event handled the time zone change very nicely.
That's right. Oh, I see.
Yes, so next week and the following weeks, let's do it an hour earlier to match YouTube.
Okay.
I did log on an hour ago, but nobody was here, so I didn't start it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Uh, all right. So I guess we'll continue introductions next week. And now, do you remember what we ended with last time?
Oh my. Let's see. I think
Oh, it was
Oh,
formatting lines. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We ended up with this mess.
that's right. That looks
So
familiar. Okay.
breaking up individual lines, and I said I was going to think about it, but my teeth hurt, so I didn't really do that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Uh, anyway, the task at hand now is to format or to break up long expressions into readable lines. So let me just comment out all the functions here by renaming them into something that's not recognized or not ever called, and see what we had before. So that would be uh, this very long line,
Okay.
and we somehow need to break that up into individual lines. Let me copy it into a scratch pad. So we have this very long line. It's not easy to see what it actually represents. So at the top level, this looks like a choice here, right?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to format this by hand, I would uh, put this choice on its own line. Now I have this parenthesized choice followed by star etc. So I guess when something is parenthesized, I should follow like black and stuff and do this.
Oh, okay.
And now this becomes a choice again. So maybe it could be like that. And huh, that
Mm.
doesn't look very good, does it?
Not really,
Not really, huh?
because
Because
mystical star. Hmm.
how do we make this better?
That's a little bit better.
But this is a mess.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, hmm. No, I don't really have any good suggestions.
well, I guess the a good way to make this readable would be to not inline stuff as aggressively, like whatever name this is.
Yeah.
Do that.
Ah, okay. Oh, right. Oh, I see. Okay.
Uh, which means we need to come up with a good name for this, and that's something only humans can do, right?
Right.
So let's see how parameters look like in the actual grammar. How do I search for that? So slash no default Now this is very confusing. Maybe this is not a very good example. So if I go back here, yeah, so parameters are a mess.
Yeah.
So this is the case of we have something or no, something else, and basically you need to have this or both in this order, which is really hard to express in a grammar.
Yeah. The mm,
And it's a bit recursive here because this big part here has the same problem. And we, I guess our simplification rules just transpose the thing, so to say star etc no, is at the very end of everything.
right.
Uh, and if it's not there, then you have to have the param with default at the very end of everything. And if that's not there, you have param no default at the very end. I wonder what these slash or comma are. This the slash with default probably. Right. So slash with default. Um, so there can either be a comma
Oh, or a
or
slash.
no, here you need a slash,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and
And the
after
comma's optional.
the
Okay.
comma's optional, but if you look here, you can either have a comma or the close parenthesis needs to follow.
Oh
And this is a
God.
look
Okay.
ahead, so it's omitted from here. uh,
Wow.
so for this, I think we either invent some new syntax for, you have to have this or both in the same order, which I think that actually uh, the railroad diagram tool uh, has support for.
Oh.
Here, optional sequence. The sequence where every item is individually optional, but at least one item must be chosen.
Oh. Okay.
Right? So this is how it looks like in a railroad diagram.
But at least one item must be chosen. Okay.
Right? So you can skip as many items as you want, except for the last one, and then once you're through at least one item, you can always skip afterwards. Right? It looks quite nice here, but there's no established grammar syntax for it. Maybe there should. What should that be?
Yeah. So basically, we have to have an option. Of the sequence, we have to choose one.
At least one.
At least, oh, at least one. Okay,
At
so it's
least
not like
one,
a radio
yes.
button. At
Yes,
least one.
yeah. Radio buttons are easy.
Yeah.
Here you have must have at least one, and there's one more complication that I don't think we have here, and that's you can have a separator between those items, but you can leave it off at the end. And I don't think this covers
That
covers
doesn't cover the
that.
separators. Mm.
This is
What about
interesting.
the label? Because basically, aren't we dealing with a scenario where there's a default and a non-default at every one? Or maybe that's the wrong way to think about it.
A default and a non-default.
In other words, okay, slash no default. So basically, we have parameters with defaults and without defaults.
So let's do it this in terms of this optional sequence, right? So optional
Right.
sequence.
Okay.
Optional sequence. So that's a sequence where every item is individually optional, but at least one must be chosen. Right? And here we have an optional sequence where we have a slash no default, then a param no default plus, right? So
Right.
this is param no default plus, which is optional, right? Then we have param with default, and then we have start etc. Does that check out?
Mm. No default. Yeah, I think that's right.
So there's
Slash
this slash here as well. So param with default
plus slash.
Oh, I guess you can have a slash here and then more param with default. So these would be keyword only. These would be keyword arguments or named arguments or named or positional.
Okay.
These would be positional only. No, they're named as well. Whoa. Wow. How do you even read this? See, slash no default is apparently param no default plus with the slash here. I wonder why this didn't use the slash no default rule name. Maybe there's some reason for that. But let's expand slash no default here. And that just makes it even more confusing. But to be honest, if I look at the old way of writing this, it's not really better.
Uh, param maybe default. Param. Jeez. Okay. No, it's not better. Um,
So what I think what this does is have the commas in all the right places, and this here omits all
oh, I
the
see.
look ahead, so it just says it's an optional comma, and that's not really true.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
that's a yeah.
hmm. Here's one experiment we could make. What happens if we stop ignoring the look aheads? Or let me see. Let me go through the look aheads. Are these important? Where do these happen? So we have them in simple statements,
Mhm.
but in all these cases, I guess the actual rule always begins with this one. So this is an optimization.
Okay.
Uh, Now with delete, apparently delete needs a semicolon or a new line at the end. That also looks like an optimization because one of these must always follow a delete statement. Am I right? So
It seems like
delete statement only appears as a simple statement, and a simple statement must be followed by semicolon or new line. New line. And that's it. Yeah, so that's also just an optimization. What is this double look ahead?
hmm.
I don't think that's documented. But I think params need to start with an opening brace. Oh no, this we. What is this? I think we covered that somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Oh,
Forced
Forced.
Okay. So something's forced. I think that that affects the priority or parsing order or something like that. And I think we can ignore this double ampersand. So this would just be an opening brace to match this closing brace, and we treat this as a simple colon. Then we have all the lookaheads in the params, where you can either have a comma or the closing brace. So all of these are important. Ignore that. With item, so after as in a with, you can have one of these three, and that's just an optimization. Then for strings, needs to start with string, or if string start, that's an optimization. Tuples start with this kind of brace, lists with those, sticks with those are optimizations. Then we have lambda parameters, where it's the same thing as with function parameters, but there's no closing parenthesis at the end. There's the semicolon, or the colon, sorry. So that's not an optimization in lambda parameters. For arguments, this is the arguments again. For T primary, there's T look ahead. I don't know if this is an optimization. So this would mean T primary basically always is always followed by one of these punctuation marks, and it looks like it always is. T primary. It looks like it always is. So all of these would be optimizations. Now, function type comment, I think we're ignoring that entirely in the grammar. And then there are invalid rules. So lookaheads are looks like lookaheads are always optimizations except for the ones in here, and in the parameters they're necessary. Of course, there are also negative lookaheads. And I don't know if those are optimizations. So this is an optimization because well, this rule looks like it's a simple it's just a simple case of this rule. So this whole option or alternative is an optimization. In assignments, you cannot have an equals what is this? You cannot have an equals at the end of or after yield expression. That makes sense. And this doesn't look like an optimization only, but I might be wrong. Next up, after import as names, you cannot have a comma. I don't know if you can have a comma after a statement. It doesn't sound likely, so this might be on optimization. And literal patterns. This just determines whether the value is signed or complex, so this shouldn't matter. In pattern capture syntax, this is very important. So if it's an underscore, it's not actually a name. And this after it looks like an optimization. In expressions, I don't know if this is an optimization or not. If the walrus can come after an expression in the rest of the grammar. And slices, this looks like a special case of the thing that's below it, so this is an optimization. So I thought that most of these are optimizations and the rest doesn't really matter, but it looks like some of them are very important, even though most of them are optimizations. Maybe we should allow them back in to make this closer to the truth if we do want to optimize this.
Okay.
So that's one thing I see wrong here. I wonder how to make this easier. So this star etc that the whole thing ends with has the same structure again, right? So it has this, so it has a star and then this giant thing followed by optional keywords, right, or just keywords, right? So
wow.
And this giant thing has the same structure again, right? So there's another big thing, and then an optional param may be default plus, and then there's param may be default plus here again, right? It's this optional sequence iterated, or well, it's a very long optional sequence, so to say, but with these separators, which make it a bit more complicated than just this.
Do we need like another top level node that's like I don't know, a sequence list or a sequence?
We probably want a top level node, something like optional sequence, but with separators.
Yeah.
So how would that work? Maybe I need to draw a diagram here. So let's optional sequence. So an optional sequence was like this, where you can skip to any of the items,
Right.
and you can skip items like this. And it's very
Right.
important that you need to go through one at least, right?
Right.
So if we add separators to the mix, it would look like, well, you can have A separator, B separator, C, and you can definitely go through them like that.
Yeah.
You can also skip anything, including the separator.
Yeah.
But you can't skip to the very end. And if you go skipping B, if you want to skip B, you probably want to skip it including the separator.
Right.
And you want to join up here before that separator here. And the same thing here. Is that correct?
Oh, right. Let's see. A. Um. Oh, right, because then you're skipping B.
But if you want to follow with C, you need a separator before that.
How about if the line where it says A, do you put that after the comma?
Like in here.
Yeah.
No, because you can have A without the separator if you're skipping to the very end.
Oh, I see. Right. Um.
This is mind bending.
It is. It is. It. Yeah. It is kind of nested, huh? Um.
But I think this would be correct for uh, the Rayleigh diagrams.
Yes.
I wonder if we can do this in text as well. So the grammar already has a special syntax for where is it, for gather, s dot e plus, which means these one or more of these expressions separated by the separator.
Okay.
So I wonder if we could add something like separator dot and then something like that. Not sure.
Yeah, separated. Okay, yeah.
like that.
Yeah. There's a N missing in individually.
Oh yeah. Uh, so this is identical to.
Uh,
So you can have
what is it again?
E1 separator, E2 separator, E3, and this is optional. Or you can leave off the E1 and you can start with E2. Or you can leave off the E2 and start with E3.
Right.
Or
Oh, that looks
maybe
nice, actually.
um, you can also write it the other way, right? Which one looks better?
Um, um,
Probably the first one is easier to
I
follow.
think the first one. Yeah.
So I guess this would make some of the grammar easier to follow. Question is,
Yeah.
can we can we get to this form automatically from the existing grammar? That's one thing. Uh, and should we add this grammar to Python's pgen so you can actually use it in the definitions here? That's another question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Zero
I guess
more.
those are questions for later. I'm out of time for today.
Okay.
So,
Should we leave a note? Do we want to do a commit? and then maybe leave a note of what to do next.
Yeah, let me add a think about what is this optional sequence with separators. Yeah, so let's think about that this week, and thanks for your attention, and see you next week.
Yeah,
An
yeah.
hour
And
earlier,
the
and
branches,
we'll make it 2 hours.
yeah, that sounds fine. And the branch is grammar in docs, right?
Right, I'll commit this work in progress.
Yeah, William and I both have time on our hands, so I might go over this with him uh, later.
Right. So it
Cool.
might be interesting to look where in the existing grammar this happens, but
Yeah,
there is quite a few occurrences, I think. Right.
awesome.
So this is my username on GitHub, and it's in the grammar
Yep,
docs
yep,
branch.
yep, yep.
And I'll see you